never understand your consumer's behavior, you're never going to understand how to continuously iterate your marketing strategy.
Maybe this is my hot take, but if you were just being like, we're not showing any 1-star reviews, maybe you should be thinking about like how many 1-star reviews you're getting that you're so scared of. And if you are getting a lot of 1-star reviews, then like, again, going back to data, why are you getting the 1-star reviews?
Why is surveying your customers at brand building important?
Hey friends, welcome to Above the Fold podcast. I'm your host, Jess Servion. We're going to be talking about everything in your customer's journey. You're going to learn things about customer experience, brand experience, and marketing secrets that help you drive your brand success. So stay tuned, buckle up, and let's get into the episode.
Welcome back to another episode of Above the Fold podcast with me, Jess, your host. This week, I am in New York City, my favorite city, besides Chicago, that is. And I'm with my homegirl, Lindsay Kolinsky from Okendo. She is the director of marketing, and we are going to talk on this episode so many things about consumer insights, consumer behavior from survey points, and whatever else we get into. Lindsay, introduce yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, so I'm Lindsay Kolinsky. I'm the director of marketing at Okendo. If you're not familiar with what we do, we are a customer marketing platform that does reviews, surveys, referrals, quizzes, and loyalty for Shopify brands. So we work with some really cool brands like Skims, Opoly, Road Beauty, like
Taste Salud,
like 15,000 really like high growth Shopify brands. So yeah, that's me. I'm excited to jam with you today.
Yeah, well, I'm super excited that you're here because I started using Okendo when I was at Feastables. And, I'm going to plug this a little bit because it really is from a consumer behavior standpoint, right? As somebody who's like more of like a CXO, like customer experience, brand experience side of marketing, I care so much about understanding my audience. And what I think is so underrated is like we got on with Okendo, and we at first we thought, oh yeah, we're gonna just use it as like surveys for product reviews, right? Just product reviews. And then me being like a CX leader, I'm like, well, I need to do NPS. I need to do post checkout. I need to do all these other things. And I started peeling back the onion of Okendo and was like, what? I can do so many other things. And I mean, we're going to talk more about it, but like the value of understanding your customer, not just from like a product review standpoint, is so important. But I think, and actually where I want to fully start is that Okendo, you see so much with brands that are just starting out. And I'd love for you to just kind of like talk about like, and it doesn't have to specifically be about Okendo, but like why is that important? Why is surveying your customers at brand building important?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like you're just starting. Your brand, right? No one knows what you do. No one knows why you like them. So like you need that research from your customers at that early stage to figure out what's working and what's not. Like, how did you get their attention, right? These are your first early customers. Like, why did they come to you? What did they care about? And then it's kind of using all that information to figure out like, how do I find more people like this? Like if I know what they care about, now I need to go en masse, like target that segment and that. So it really helps you like be more efficient as well in those early days so that you're not like constantly like running around and, being like, let me test this, let me test this, let me test this. If you're able to like really understand who you're appealing to in the beginning and get that information about them, that's just going to help you with like where you need to focus on. And, even especially with like the amount of money you're spending in the beginning, like something as simple as being like, how did you hear about us? Yeah. Like there's so much with the data and attribution and Google and cookies and all that. Like it is so hard now to exactly pinpoint what's working in marketing and what's not. So again, at that like early brand building stage, to get that data directly from your customer to be like, oh, you heard about me through this. And it could be something offline that you can't track, an event, a podcast, right? Yeah. Like you would never know that based on the fact watching a podcast that someone's Googling your brand after unless you ask them, right?
Yeah. So. A really good point. Actually, one of our clients, Equip Foods, also Okendo. I think everybody's on Okendo. But one of our clients, Equip Foods, they surveyed at post checkout and like asking like where did you come from, and actually discovered that somebody on the Skinny Confidential podcast mentioned them.
See, you
and then
never
turned into a whole additional field of like, and then from there it's like, okay, well, do I build a better landing page or this, that, and the other thing? How do I attract that audience?
And if you had looked at like Google, it probably would have told you organic search, or like maybe they went on the Instagram of Skinny Confidential and saw it from there. So like you would have been putting so much money into like other channels potentially and wasting your time that like just getting that information directly from your customer is going to help you again. Like when you're at that early brand building stage, cost of acquisition's insane right now. Like
so insane.
Put your money where it matters, especially at that early stage. Like when you don't have anything to waste, essentially.
Well, Open Lake Collective, like, and I know, sorry, if this sounds like a plug, everybody, but there's a point of like why I'm bringing this up. Like the whole reason I started Open Lake Collective is because I wanted to help brands build, right? But I wanted to help brands build from the perspective of like that CX brain, that brand experience brain. And what's so interesting that I've like found like working with a lot of different brands now at that brand building stage or at like the growth and scaling stage is that, so it like growth marketers go so hard in the paint. Okay. And then, and you start, actually, let's forget, I even brought up the growth marketers first. Like, okay, let's start even further. You put out your brand, you do your brand strategy, you do your positioning and your messaging, you launch. Then what happens? Then at that point, the natural progression is, okay, well, now we need to grow. We need to go do the growth marketing things. So now we're doing paid. Now we're, we're A/B testing website. We're doing this, that, and the other thing, right? Those things are all good. But if you never understand your consumer's behavior, you're never going to understand how to continuously iterate your marketing strategy.
Totally. You're going to be stuck like where you started, and then you're going to see some immediate growth, right? Like all that stuff's going to work, and you're just going to plateau and be like, well, why isn't our paid working anymore? And it's like, well, did that message actually resonate with more people that are coming to your brand? Is there something that you're missing? Especially as you're like adding new SKUs and developing new products. It's like you have to adjust, and you need to have those insights. And it's the same story as like when you're thinking about the beginning. It's just as you're growing, you need to kind of like continuously learn more and more and more.
Yeah, totally. I think it's you continuously learn more and more. The other thing I was thinking about too is like, okay, yes, like on product reviews, yes, on like surveying your customers. But one of the hacks that I really have continued is post-checkout surveys, but not in the manner of like post-checkout surveys, like let's understand like the acquisition portion of it. Like, yes, I care about that, but it's another touch point where you can utilize to understand your consumer behavior a little bit further. So one of the things that I did at Feastables is instead of doing like a basic, like, where did you come from survey at post checkout, we included questions into that survey of like, who are you buying for, like demographic, psychographic information, right? Well, as much as you can. I want to preface this for the audience that, when you do survey, you also have to walk a fine line that you're also in compliance because there are certain things from like a privacy policy standpoint that you don't want to like violate.
Totally. And also you don't want to do too many questions, especially post-checkout. Like usually we say 5 to 7 is kind of like the sweet spot. But even that is like, make sure they're quick. Make sure it's an immediate follow-up question to the question. So it feels organic. Like if they feel like they're sitting there for 5-10 extra minutes, like after checkout, they're not going to finish it. So make it quick, make it snappy. And then there's other areas in the journey as well that if you're missing that information, or you could get something from a review. Like the great thing about Okendo is you can collect all this data throughout different touch points as well and put them in one like profile. So if you don't have like, hey, they didn't answer that on the survey, it's like, well, maybe you ask the same question on a review. So now there's 2 areas in which like you might be able to get that data from them, or you include it in a quiz in the beginning. So like, that's just one thing, not to go completely off topic, but like make sure it's, even though you want to collect all this information, like think about the consumer and make sure it's not
Yeah.
overload, because there's other ways to get it.
Yeah, totally. I see this kind of often
Mm.
where some of my clients will be like, okay, I want to go and like survey my customer, and then they'll like segment their segment in email,
Mhm.
and then they'll like do a type form or whatever. But then the survey is like 10 minutes
Oh my
long,
God, no.
and a 15% discount ain't gonna get you far, my
No.
friend.
And that's why we call ours micro surveys,
Yeah.
right? Because like technically, yes, you can build a longer survey with Okendo, but our big thing is like short, snappy, easy, and like, yes, if they're offline and you're saying like, hey, we'd love to, you're sending an email like, hey, we'd love to get your feedback on this. Usually, like the way you should phrase it is, it will take you X amount of minutes, and we will give you X discount, and that should like be in the email. Otherwise, they're never gonna shit.
Yeah.
And that's like a separate one-off topic,
Yeah.
right? Like that's not just click like straight demographic. That's like, take our survey about like, are you interested in subscriptions or
Yeah.
like, you know, environmental packaging and things like that. Those types of use cases make sense for a longer survey, but like basic data, yeah.
No,
Keep
absolutely.
it short.
Yeah, basic data. And I think it's also just like understanding to like survey at different touch points.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know, so it's, yes, of course, your product reviews, like, of course, you need that because you need that for your social proof, right? And you also need to understand like how people feel about it. But I think post checkout is what we just mentioned. But I think another hack is actually NPS for e-commerce brands, and I don't see a lot of e-commerce brands doing that.
Yeah, I think they don't know what to do with the
Mhm.
information. Like, or they're collecting and they're like, okay, cool. What now? And I think, you know, a survey is only as good as you evaluating the information and actioning
Mhm.
off of it. But I think with NPS, it's still really good just to get a like, just a quick gut check, right? Like, was this good for them? Was it not? Are they neutral?
Yeah.
Do they love us? And then it's great because NPS, because it's, you know, detractors and neutrals and passives. But, you know, you can kind of then start filtering those people into like different segments as well, right? Like if you know someone gave you a high NPS score, then it's like, maybe we should ask them to refer a friend, or we should ask them to
Put
be in
them
our
in a
loyalty, or ask them to leave a review, right? So it's like, even that small action as well is really important. But then you can go the other side, right? Like if someone's not happy, have your team reach out to them, like if you can one-to-one, or like do something to get that score up. So even if like as a whole you're like, hey, this is an aggregate score, I'm not sure, like it's cool, I know if it goes up and down, but like there's just like small little things that
Mhm.
you could do with that data
Mhm.
that can then just like feed the rest of the customer experience and the rest of the customer journey.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, this might be a little bit of a hot take, truthfully, and I think it also comes from my background in SaaS before e-commerce, but I utilized NPS to understand the website journey and the user experience from a technical perspective, right? And so what I like to actually use NPS for within e-commerce is like the understanding your NPS will give you information about not only of like, okay, did I like the taste or did I like the fit of this product, but like it'll also give you information in regards to what I need to feedback loop to my supply chain team, what I need to feedback loop to my marketing team. So even like a simple understanding your promoters, your passives, and your detractors, right? And then if somebody is like a promoter, putting logic into that survey with one or two different questions, not that many, to then understanding just a little bit further of why they're a promoter. If somebody's passive detractor, like you do the same thing, right? And then you can dive a little bit deeper into like, what was it? Was it customer service? Was your website journey? Was it your, you know, your fulfillment journey? What was it? And then you're not going to be able to like exactly what you're saying, micro surveying. You're not going to be able to super dive into that, and that's okay. But at least you know the customers who are passive, detractors, and promoters.
Totally. It's actually funny. I have a funny NPS personal story. Is I used to also, I mean, I'm in SaaS, but I was at a previous company and we were using another tool. And it was something where I had to like record myself selling something. And I was just annoyed I had to do it. So when I submitted my video, an NPS popped up and I clicked 0 because I was just like, I'm annoyed. I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I got an email from their CEO being like, hey, Lindsay, just wanted to check in and see like why you were so upset with the platform, all this stuff. And I was like,
Yeah.
and I was really embarrassed and I didn't answer.
I mean,
But like at the end of the day, it was like the fact that and again, it was an automation of some sort. It wasn't him, but like just the idea that like you can respond. And then I was like, oh my God, this wasn't actually your platform. It was just the fact that like I was being required to do something that like
yeah.
I didn't want to do for work. Like, but it's true. It's like even just that extra step of like, had they asked me that question, I probably could have had that insight and been like, not you. I just hate
Yeah.
the idea of this. Like,
Yeah.
and given some insight there. So, but the fact that they did have that automation was really smart to like
I know.
figure that
I
out.
mean, I love that.
Yeah.
I actually really love that because I think that's another way that you can personalize the customer journey.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think when you think about just like gathering any of your
Mhm.
consumer insights from any of these micro points is like you don't necessarily want to make them the end all be all, but like
Yeah.
the same way you build a customer
Mhm.
journey is the same way you should build your surveying
Yeah.
journey. You know.
Totally.
And this is not a hot take, but I'm going to say it's a hot take. Please, for the love of God, constantly survey your customers
Yes.
and make iterations
Yes.
about what you're selling, how you're
Yep.
selling it in your marketing plan. That is the
Mhm.
point of us nerding out about this.
Totally. It should be a continuous insights
Yes.
program. Like it's not just like a one and done. Okay. Yes. Again, you might have a survey about a specific topic, a specific initiative. Fine. But also, even if you do that, say you implement that initiative, follow up with the same group of people. Like, what are you thinking about this now? Like, or things like that. Like, it should just always be learning. And again, I think that's why people get overwhelmed
Yeah.
by surveys as well. Cause they're like, okay, I have all this data. I don't know what to do about it. It's like, you should be thrilled you have all this data and like
Yeah.
constantly looking at it and thinking about it and seeing what's changing and not. So if you think
Yeah.
about it as a one and done, then you're never really going to see the full value in it as much as like to your point. If you're just continuously making this program and seeing how things evolve.
Yeah. What do you think? What's your opinion
Yeah.
about marketers
Mhm.
specifically, who say who want to operate more on gut feeling and rather than data? Like, what's your opinion?
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
I'm on the data side.
I'm a mix of both, right? Like, I think at the end of the day, if you're doing your job right and you're actually talking to customers yourself and like you're looking at things and you're seeing what's out there, there's a little bit of gut, right? But you have to ultimately, at the end of the day, like go by the data as your first point,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's like if your gut is telling you something completely different, then you need to be like, what's going on here? And you need to look into like that. But ultimately, like if a customer is giving you the information, like, again, I think data is different when you're talking about third-party tracking, right? Like that's something where your gut makes sense. But if you're looking at this is all data from your customers
Mhm.
and something's telling you differently, maybe you need to rewire your gut a little. I don't know, hot take. But
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree with
Yeah.
you, and I don't know. The reason I ask is because like a lot of times I'll come up to because I operate very much like I want data, I want
Yeah.
insights to go and then inform the
Yep.
strategy, right? And I do things a little bit differently. Like when I work on like a brand strategy client or even just a marketing client, and actually all of them because that's brand strategy, marketing, and CX. Like all three of those types of clients that we bring in, we always go in and we're going to audit like a program, but we're always looking at data.
Yeah.
We're always looking at data and like, and the thing that's so interesting, I actually have one client right now who went through a massive growth spurt, really great, like really like doing it, crushing it, like things are really amazing. But the problem is they weren't looking at data to inform the rest of their customer journey. So then what was happening is they're selling the product, but then like they're getting defects in the product.
Yeah.
And then so then they're starting to look at the like data from a different perspective. I mean, like I'm not even talking about consumer behavior, like of like, oh, like we're getting a lot of these defective items. Like, why is that? And like, but then they were never like tagging into the why.
Right.
To like, so then like it kind of bit them in. I was about to say in the bit them in the ass, but
no cursing on here.
Yeah, we can curse. But it like they shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like if you, and I don't think everybody sets themselves up appropriately
Yeah.
to collect the data. And that's okay. Cause
Yeah.
it's like when you're brand building, it's
Right.
like, get me the product, get the
Right.
product on the website,
Right.
you know?
I would say, and maybe this is my hot take, but marketers are extremely strapped as well. So when you're
Mhm.
focusing on like sales, new acquisition, and you're not giving your marketers the chance to look at that data, that's when that happens,
Mhm.
right? It's like, I think all marketers know that like, I'd love to take the time to do this, but it just becomes something that falls on the wayside when you have like such high sales forecasts and everything. So it's like, okay, my efforts have to go
Yeah.
to acquisition and it just gets lost, unfortunately. So I think
Yeah.
it's like, to your point, maybe it's not that people go by gut versus data. It's just gut takes less time.
Yeah.
And with what they need to do, it's like, I'm just going to go with
Yeah.
this. And I think that's probably just more of like the marketing dilemma overall,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, let's even just unpack that.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just like marketers, sometimes it's just so tiring because I see these roles out there.
Yep.
I see
You got to do it all.
I see these roles out there and it's like marketing leader.
Yep.
And we want you to do your performance and we want you to do your retention and we want you to do your life cycle and
Yeah.
all these things.
Oh, and lead a team
and content.
too. Content, lead a team, be a thought leader. Like it's everything.
It's so
crazy.
nuts.
Mhm.
It's so nuts. And it's just like, oh, but I've seen ones where it was just one person.
Yeah.
And like there is no team.
No, that's true too. And I think the thing too is like marketing can be done, but if you want it done well, it takes time.
Well,
So I think that's the difference is like you could be like, yeah, I could do all this. I could run our ads and our content and be a thought leader and go on podcasts and do this and look. But if you want me to do it well, I need the time to actually look and test and analyze the
Mhm.
data. And like, I mean, I know when I look at data, like my OCD comes out and it's like, oh, there's something there. I need to drill in right now and I need to drill into this. And then the next thing I know, I'm like in a data spiral
Yeah.
of like, this led me to this. But it's true that spiral takes time to
Yeah.
get into that tornado of like thought. And again, maybe if you're doing it well, hopefully it leads to some insights. But you know, again, there's just so many requirements.
I know.
on
And
marketers
there's so
these days.
many different things for reporting.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
And guys
Yeah.
listening out there. The amount of ads that I get as a small business owner
Mhm.
owning a marketing agency, right? With like, oh my God, do this blueprint and that
Mhm.
blueprint. And I'm just like so overwhelmed by the blueprints and like the reporting structure.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to just do my scrappy little reports and hope for the best.
Hope for the best. And again, at the end of the day, like you'll see the money coming in. So there's
Yeah.
certain things where it's like, is this worth analyzing this so much?
Yeah.
Or like, again, having the customer data and then making changes and then just seeing it come in like
Yeah.
at a certain point. So I don't know. I'm with you on that. Like there's
Yeah.
certain things you're just scrappy and then there's certain things where it's like, this isn't worth my time. And I
Yeah.
also think too, like, there's so many things out there and there's so many people being like, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And like, if you're that one person, it gets so overwhelming to be like, how do I choose between all these things people are telling me to do? And I think, again, that's where like the customer data and being like, what's resonating with you?
Yeah.
It's not what my CEO or my CMO or someone is telling me that so-and-so brand is doing this, so you have to do this, right? It's like asking your customers, what do you want to see from me? Right? And then
Yeah.
putting your time and effort into that as well. So
Well, yeah, it's like understanding your positioning and your messaging, right? Like, I don't know. The hot things right now in marketing is in just e-commerce marketing is experiential marketing,
Yeah.
IRL experiences, which I believe in. Like, trust me, I'm an
Yeah.
experience girl. Like,
yeah.
shout out to Poppy because
Mhm.
it's
I
my
saw your
girl
post.
crush.
You're like, I'm waiting.
I'm waiting,
Yeah.
Poppy.
Yep.
Please call a girl, okay? We
Oh.
want to have an experiential
Yep.
event at She Innovates 3, okay?
Yeah.
But the reason I'm bringing up Poppy because like I have such a girl crush on them,
Yeah.
and I know I probably like people are gonna be like, "Ma'am, like just stop talking about them."
Hey, I
But-
hope they call you after this. Call Jess. Call
I know,
Jess.
Call Jess, Poppy. But okay, so the reason I brought up Poppy though specifically is because they do a lot of like experiential marketing,
Yeah.
like activations,
Yeah.
like those things, and I think it's really fun. And I think, but it's very like, and I'm using this as an example of just like how marketing is shifting and like
Yeah.
the needs of it. And I know we're talking about like data and like more on the digital pieces, but people are craving community.
Totally.
People are craving community and people are craving these experiences, right? And so going back to the Poppy example, Poppy does so many cool activations amongst like with people, right? Creating like these Poppy universes, but also like Poppy universes on web.
Yes.
And then also through their influencer and affiliate channel, which I think is so cool. But the reason I'm bringing it up as it relates to data is just like, I'm curious of like how, like that's gotta be a gut.
Yeah.
That's not a data moment.
Right. That's a like, let's throw it out there and see if it sticks, which of course as marketers, you still have to like try and do that again. But yeah, I think one, the idea of community is huge. I think that's something too with like, you know, TikTok and all these things being uncertain, rising acquisition costs. Like you need to start leaning into your community more to do that acquisition for you.
Yeah.
And have them bring their friends and their family and all these customers, because we don't know what's going to happen. It's going to keep getting harder and harder. But then also going to that idea of like these experiences, like those are things that could be, honestly, if you're looking at the cost of paid, like some experiential things might end up being way more cost effective.
Yeah.
And because you're having that like one-to-one connection with them, like that could be something that, you know, you're acquiring. But again, really the only way to truly find out is if they purchase something at the activation, or if you're asking them, where'd you hear about us? So again, like that is a little bit of gut to experiment, because you know you're not going to find like that answer necessarily, but you'll start seeing that impact with like more people talking about you, like more traffic coming in, like more referral codes being used, like all of that just starts kind of being the indicators that something's working versus like, how do I measure the activation, right? It's like, what are those other things that are going to come and be able to be measured like outside of that might be getting raised because of this.
Right. It's like the core.
Yeah.
And then making sure that all of your other touch points are set up so that you can survey and get your insights from it. And like making sure, so like your gut moment can be that experiential event, right? But then like making sure that you're getting those insights from those moments too.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that idea actually. Well, let's go back to community real quick in like the digital realm, right? Like we briefly touched on this before coming on. I don't want to get into like the politics of anything, but you know, with TikTok and what happened by the time this airs, it will be a couple of weeks ago. With what happened with TikTok a couple of weeks ago and like in January where it was like completely shut off and then warning, it's going to ban it. And then it does actually shut off for like 12 hours. Wait, before we even, the amount of influencers who also went over to Instagram and were crying about it.
And the ones that like confessed about like all the things that like, oh, I don't actually use this product. Haha. And you're like, oh, babe,
that did not age well.
No,
that did not age well.
No, but it is true, and I think a lot of them were smart for being like, let's use this to move over. But yeah, no, if you don't confess ever.
I know. So that the reason I actually brought it up though is because I think what's so interesting of that one moment. Then it comes back and then people are going in droves to Instagram and other channels and Red Note and all these other places, right? But then it splinters where your communities live, right? And what I find it really interesting is like, you know, and I don't think at least the brands that I work with don't necessarily do this, but maybe because I coach them to say, please, for the love of God, own your audience and loop them back to your email. But I do see a lot of other brands who are out there and like they really just double down on one channel as like their main place. But you really have to be, in order to build a community, own your audience. You have to splinter yourself other places. And the other point that I was going to make though is that I think what's really interesting and what we're probably going to see this year is people getting off of social media.
I fully agree with that. And I think when we talk community, like you're thinking about like influencers and like, you know, a brand's page, right? And
Right.
like all the things, but like the community just really is your customers,
Yeah.
right? And it's just that idea of like, even though they're a regular customer, making them feel like they're a part of your network. Like besides being on this podcast today, like I don't influence, I don't like go on social media and say my opinions about everything. Like that's just, I'll put some pictures when I travel. That's it,
Yeah.
right? But I still want to feel like part of something with a brand and feel that connection, even if like I don't have this huge network, but I have my friends and family.
Yeah.
And trust me, if I love a brand, like I will shout about it to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Like, and that's valuable too. And I think that's the thing is like, if brands start treating their regular customers just as importantly as they would treat the influencers, that they like, obviously they're bringing you more, right? So you're going to give them something. But Skims actually was telling us about something they did. I think they did like a wedding PR box and they sent it to all their influencers and all that. But then they looked at some of their top customers and I don't know how they were able to figure out that they were getting married soon.
Ugh.
But they sent them the same PR package as like a surprise and delight.
Yes.
And like, that's just like treat your top customers like you would these influencers too and make them feel like they're just as special.
Mhm.
And they're going to keep telling your friends and family and all that. So if everyone gets off social media, you still have that like word of mouth.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yes.
it is so important to make those people feel special, even if they're not public figures. Like it
Yeah.
can just do so much for your brand, especially again, it's just about owning that community and like knowing that you're going to have to, you know, get off social media or you're going to have to divest. Like that's where the future is like customer led acquisition.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. I think that the biggest thing that we should also think about, and like, granted, listen, I come from a creator brand, right? Like
Right.
as my most recent, like sitting in a seat
Yeah.
on the brand side, but I also work with a lot of creator brands. And this is something like, I have a lot of points here, but the biggest point I have is like when I look at a creator brand, I always coach these brands of like, you need to step yourself outside of that creator so you can create sustainability for your brand.
Totally.
And I think that actually still applies to influencer and affiliate marketing too.
100%.
Because so affiliate a little bit different because you can do like a lot of word of mouth and like you can do and you can like utilize your own customers to do those things, right? Like loyalty and rewards programs and whatnot. But I from the influencer side, I think as consumers, and this can be a little hot take. Another one. I think as consumers, we are fatigued. We are fatigued of like
100%.
being fucking influenced.
And that's the thing. It's like now, even if, I mean, I always joke, like I'm so easily influenced. Like I could be sold on anything. Like I go get a facial. They're like, you need this skincare. I'm like, yeah, done. Put it in my cart. Like
yeah,
but that's because I'm with the person as well. Like, whereas if I see an influencer, it's like, well, what's my thought process now? I'm going on the website. I'm looking at the product. I'm looking at reviews. And I think that's, again, just like not to bring it back to reviews, but
social
people
proof
know. People
real
know.
people.
Exactly. Real people. And I think that's the thing. Like, we don't want to see your PDP, like high value, like high quality images. Like, yes, you need that. Of course, you can't get rid of that. But like, I'm going to look at what real people are saying. Their pictures of you using the product, like the before and after, the impact, like, and then even deeper, I'm going to look at the people that are like me, right? So like when you have those filters that are like, you know, I also have curly hair that's dry and whatever, and I'm shopping for like a shampoo. Like, I don't care what the straight haired ladies say about this product. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't mean. So like, like to your point, like we're tired. We know when it's fake. Like we've caught on. We know when people are getting paid. And I mean, Instagram makes you like, they'll ad. Like, but even when it's not an ad, 90% of the time you could tell when you're like, all right, they sent you free product. Like, even if they're not paying you to do it, like I can kind of tell that you feel the need that in order to get more, you kind of have to say something nice. Like, you know, so yeah, I agree. People are so over being influenced that like you need to rely on making your real customers happy. Like, yeah, like making them shout about you from the rooftops and doing things like reviews. Like, even though it's such a small thing in an aggregate, like, you know, there are brands that have like 15,000 reviews on a single product, right? But like every single review, like every new review, like people are looking like, was this from months ago or was this from yesterday that someone else was happy? Like they're skeptical and like they want to see the real deal. And even if it's not all 5 stars, I think people are so scared of that. Like, oh my God, I got one bad review. No one's going to buy my product. And it's like, well, respond publicly.
Yes.
So that people can say like, okay, someone didn't like it, but this company is going to be there for me if I don't like it. Like, even if it's like, if it's 1 out of a ton, like people are going to go, but it actually shows that like, hey, you're not hiding this. You're not trying to lie to me.
Yeah.
You're being authentic. You're showing me everything. This feels like a brand I can trust.
Okay. 2 points. Actually, in this moment, I've just learned something about CX stuff that I wouldn't say I've been doing it wrong, but probably have been looking at it a little bit more too operationally efficient. You know, what we would always do and what I've always advised is with reviews, like, okay, bleed it into like you're gorgeous, your customer, your Zendesk, whatever, so then you can respond to it. But you're not responding publicly.
Yeah. Respond publicly.
Respond publicly.
Because that's like so that everyone else can see like whoever's hopping on, like, hey, can you like tell us more for some, even like for something like clothing, like it didn't fit. Hey, let's chat. Let's see if we can get you another size. Like those little things, like it's great to be, you want to handle it obviously regardless, but if you could do it publicly, then everyone else who's seeing that 1-star review, but seeing your message is like, oh, I know they responded.
Yeah.
Like I know this is going to be fast if I'm not happy. Like, so at the end of the day, we're all taking risks with every purchase we make online. You can't feel it. You can't touch it. Any of that. Like, so yeah, respond publicly is our word of advice.
I love that. I don't think you can respond to everything publicly.
Yes. I mean, there's certain things, and that's why like you always moderate your reviews as well. Like, you know,
I was just going to ask you, what are your thoughts about moderation? Because I see brands go real extreme.
Yeah, you don't want to go too extreme. I think the points with moderation is like, one, you want to make sure, like, especially with photos and videos, people are not putting inappropriate things. Like we have ways that you can moderate and take out like anyone who's cursing and stuff like that. Like that I think is a good use of moderation. I think if you were just being like, we're not showing any 1-star reviews, like maybe you should be thinking about like how many 1-star reviews you're getting that you're so scared of.
Yeah.
And if you are getting a lot of 1-star reviews, then like, again, going back to data, why are you getting the 1-star reviews? There's something you can learn from that. So again, I get being hesitant of auto publishing, and that's something that you could do where like anything under 3 stars, I don't want to automatically push, but I want to just check them out. And if it's something that's like not spicy, then maybe you post it and then respond publicly, right? But I think if you completely hide them, again, customers are gonna know, and usually they'll still pop up in like the overarching like review aggregate widget that says like these are the stars, but people want to see it. Like, you know, like they know when you're like over 150,000 5-star reviews and like our rating's 5.0, like that's
there's
BS.
No way.
It's BS. And they know
like
it.
You're never going to make everybody happy.
No. And I think our sweet spot, we usually say it's like 4.2 to 4.7 is like the highest converting in terms of reviews. Cause like that's believable.
Yeah.
Like anything above that. Yeah. People don't believe it. We're skeptical. Like,
I actually didn't the FTC come out with something about moderation, or am I like tripping off of that?
Probably do, to be honest. That's like not the thing that I am like the top of the top on. We always say at Okendo, like speak to your own legal team. Like we're not here to give you any legal advice. Like do what you guys feel is the right interpretation of the law. We're just going to give you the tools to allow you to do what you feel comfortable with.
Hands off.
100%. I was like, I'm not here speaking on behalf of anyone's legal
I don't
team
know.
Today. But there's definitely rules again on moderation. Like I said, I don't think you should be, I think moderation is more for like appropriate content.
Yes.
And things like that. I really think, like, again, like I said, if you're getting so many 1-star reviews, like that's a bigger red flag. We should talk about
the gut. That's the data, my friend.
That's the data. Exactly.
Okay, that's data.
Let's look at those and be like, what's happening? And then even the best thing about that too is like if you're getting insights from reviews being like, this is breaking when you're shipping it to me. I'm getting broken product, like things like that. Like you email every single person, you ship them another one, you have them like give you a new review. Like it is such a good way to make good and to turn a bad experience. Like again, like just don't shy away from it. Like embrace it.
Yeah.
It's going to tell you something.
Wait, I wanted to tell you a really funny story about moderation. So there's a brand. The thing is, I don't always name the brands because we never paint anybody in a bad light around here. Okay. We're only girls.
Yes.
Or girls for the guys.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Homies.
Girl gang.
Looking at your shirt. We're homies.
Yeah. Homies.
With everyone.
Okay. So in moderation, there's this brand that has, let's just say, some older gentlemen, okay, like midlife to older. I had to go in and moderate some of their, like, even though they were 5 stars, it was like 5 stars were like auto publishing, right? And these gentlemen were posting pictures of themselves, not inappropriate, okay?
They just didn't know better.
Not inappropriate. I'm just saying treating the product review section like they're tenderoni. Okay. So a little bit, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's where moderation makes sense.
My friend.
That's where it's like, I don't think it's that you're anti showing the review and the feedback. It's just, hey, this isn't appropriate for our website.
Yeah.
Like that's fair. And you can again just remove the photo.
Remove the photo.
Publish the review. Like nothing the FTC is saying against that.
Yeah.
I don't think. Again, not a lawyer.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Legal advice around
no
here. Okay. Okay. I want to go back to the community thing real quick because, and like just about personalization, because there was something that like kind of came up that when we were talking about like moderation and the reviews and like social proof and all of those things. But the brand for me, and I want to get what yours is, the brand for me that really makes me feel like a part of a community that's actually offline and more in email and like life cycle is the Skinny Confidential.
Ooh.
Lauren Bostic, like, listen, I'm a mouth tape girl. Okay. TikTok didn't influence me. The internet actually just influenced me. And what I mean by that is just like random Google searching. Right. Like, I don't know how I fell into it. But Lauren Bostic's mouth tape. Love it. Swear by it. Like, love it. I get such like deep sleep from it. But so that's how I came into the Skinny Confidential like world, right? And I didn't really start like buying all of the other products, but what I really like about their life cycle stuff is the emails that I get are more about like Lauren's routine. And she'll actually plug other products. And it just feels so much more real and authentic.
Totally.
And truthfully, I don't follow her on Instagram. I like honestly my personal Instagram. I have 2 profiles: Jess Applesauce personal, and Jess Servion is my public. But
you're gonna get a lot of requests now.
I know Jess Applesauce. It's a funny nickname that I have all my life. But so like on the stuff that I'm actually scrolling, like my mindless entertainment is I try to keep that to not the influence. Maybe I'm just like marketer fatigued.
Totally.
Truthfully.
You know all the tricks.
You know? But I don't follow her. But I religiously read the emails. And I think that that's really important.
Totally. I think like when we talk about personalization, like I'd say like we always say like consumer demands are evolving and this won't cut it. And it's like the average consumer isn't going to sit there and look at your email and be like, all they did was write, hi, Lindsay, and didn't personalize anything else. Like, no, they're not thinking in the way that we as marketers are thinking. But it's those things that like, they shouldn't know they're getting a personalized message for them if it's done well.
Yes.
Like they shouldn't be looking there being like, oh, you took my data and you sent me this message and you sent someone else this message. It's just about like knowing what they might want to engage in. And I think that is one thing I've been pushing for a long time that I don't think enough brands are doing content with this data. It's like the how to, the like, it's not always sales based. And these are things too, like going back to like Instagram and like video content, like those are things too, like how to use the product or like why this is great. Or like, again, just going back to a hair example, like if you know I live in New York, it's 20 degrees out today, like, or even like Canopy, for example, I don't know if they're doing this, but like my heat is on in my apartment right now. And like, if they know I live in New York, I want that email that's like, turn your canopy up and here's ways to stay moisturized.
Yes.
when your heat in New York City
Yes.
is killing you. Like,
Yes.
that is the stuff that, like, it's more of like how to use the product and why, and like
Yeah.
how it would work best for you, that I think is like one of those underlying things of personalization that doesn't have to be like, here's an upsell, here's this. It's just keeping you involved and keeping you like part of the brand and like making it deeper and deeper and stickier
Yes.
into your life.
Yeah.
And that's part of like retention and loyalty
Yeah.
as well. And especially if you're a category that, like, you know, Canopy, right? Like, they've expanded their SKUs.
I know. I have their filter.
The shower one?
Yeah.
Okay, I do Jolie for that. I know.
I
Canopy's
love Jolie too.
Yeah, and I also love Kitsch, and they have one too. The shower
Oh.
filter thing is like hot right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to Canopy, like, they've expanded, but when they were just the filters, like, I had a subscription to the filter. So it's like, how do you make it stickier when I'm still just buying the same product over and over again? Well, that's a great way to do it, to remind me of like why I need it constantly, or like but in an organic, educational way that's not pushy and salesy.
Totally. And you know what I also really love about Canopy's program is when I signed on for their filter, because it just like, I actually have the handheld one. That's the one that I have to have, is like, that's why Jolie doesn't work for me, because I don't have a spout.
Right.
Trust me, I actually have 2 stories.
Ooh.
2 stories here, filter stories. Okay. One thing that I really like about Canopy's program, also, that's like not even about emails or anything. It's just like program. They, you can get essential oils. And with the subscription, they would send you different ones. And I like love them because I'm using them in my humidifier. I'm using it in like all these other places. Don't come at me, sustainability people, because I think about scents.
You know, we got to have our, everyone has their sacrifices that we have to make somewhere.
But I love that level of personalization, right? Like making something additionally stickier with like other items that you wouldn't normally go onto their website and go buy.
Totally, right? Like, I'm probably not looking and being like, I need a scent for that, right? But if you're sending it to me now, I'm like, wow, this is something like I need, and I need to replenish it, and I need to this like gift with purchases, extra get, like, going back to like loyalty programs, being able to be like, you're a part of our loyalty program, like you get free gifts or first access to stuff or free samples and packages. Like, those are such easy ways that like you're just going to continue that loyalty and like the surprise, making people feel special, right? But again, if they start loving the product, and if you're doing the personalization right, you're sending them a product that you know will work for them because you have their data, right? Like, it all feeds into each other, that it doesn't need to be something that's like just via email or just like very blatantly like, this is a product you might like, right? Like, it's just knowing what your customers might like, and just those little tailored things are so important. That to me is personalization done well.
Absolutely.
To the next level.
Absolutely. And I think as we talk about brand building, right, we started this conversation talking about like surveying and touch points and getting data and understanding your customer to build a better brand. And I actually think this is like a great place for us to like end, right? Because taking all of that data and building out programs that create retention, create loyalty, create that word of mouth, and making your customers feel like they are your influencer.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
Is so important.
Exactly. And that's kind of like what we call at Okendo. Like, our goal is like, we want you as a brand to make all your customers your super fans, right? And like have them do that marketing for you. And like, I always kind of like to talk about like this kind of flywheel of like the experience and how it works. It's like, all right, you get someone on your site. Their first experience with you, they take a quiz to find the right product for them. That means they're more likely to have the right experience with your brand from the start with your product than if they were maybe to go through all your SKUs and try to figure it out on your own. So you're already starting them off with like a good experience. You get them to leave a review about their good experience, right? Then you get them into a survey post-purchase and ask them about what they like and start, you know, doing all your personalization, your data around that. Then you've got them in loyalty. Now you're sending them surprise and delight. You're getting them to spend more and earn more. And then at the end of the day, they're telling their friends about you. And then that friend is like, okay, I trust my friend. Let me go on the website. They take a quiz. And it's just like this cycle that like feeds into itself. Super fans. And then if you could just get everyone to keep like referring more and more and more, the next thing you know, this circle has gotten huge, and you just have this community of people that are loyal and excited for you. So yeah, it's just all about making sure like from the get-go, it's like their
Everything is a
first
flywheel.
impression. Yeah, their first
Everything is an
impression.
absolute flywheel.
Totally.
And everything is an absolute flywheel. And I also, this is a little bit like off subject,
Yeah.
but I wanted to offer one other tidbit
Yeah.
of advice when it comes to like content
Mhm.
marketing too, and like how to like do personalization. So it's like everything we're talking about is like loyalty programs,
Yeah.
referral programs, surprise and delight, and like all these like programmable things that you
Mhm.
can do amongst your like D2C
Yeah.
site, right? But then like as we even think about community and it's like in
Yeah.
content
Yep.
marketing, right? And like developing out that content, I'm starting to see a lot of brands create series.
Yeah.
Like series of like their products, like, and creating content and like storylines around it. I think that's an even deeper level of personalization
Totally.
for customers that we're going to start seeing more
Totally.
of.
I think we like, and it's funny because like we say personalization,
Yeah.
but I also think it's about like making things personal.
Yes.
And it's just like that's why
Yes.
founder-led brands are so important right now. So it's like, yes, personalizing on a one-to-one, like that's a historic definition of personalization, right? But like let's just remember the word person in there. And it's just the more we can put real people, real humans, like
real
put
data.
real data, real voices to like all the decisions and everything that's out there. Like I think that's going to continue
Yeah.
to be like the future of content and community and everything.
Yeah. So here's the final hot take.
Love it.
Personalization, utilizing that word as the buzzword, is bullshit.
Yes. Love it.
Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate this conversation. I feel like we can nerd out for
so long.
15 hours on
Yes.
this. Yeah. Tell the audience where they can find you.
Yeah. So you can find myself on LinkedIn, Lindsay Kolinsky. But if you wanted to look at Okendo, see how you can create super fans, you can go to okendo.io.
Thank you. And we will catch you all next week.
Dang, we've made it to the end of the podcast and you're still here. So thank you so much for listening to Above the Fold podcast. For the best of this episode and every episode, be sure to follow us on Instagram and my YouTube channel. And for deeper dives on the secrets to brand success, don't forget to subscribe to my weekly newsletter, Sunday Postcards. All right, my dudes and gals, see you next week.